welcome to my film review of Toy Story 4. So this has been quite a while in the making. Has it been about 7 years since Toy Story 3? So the question everybody's been wondering since we found out this movie was coming out is it worth the wait? And I think you'll be pleased to know that it is, really. It's a perfectly good sequel. It doesn't do anything exceptionally groundbreaking. Plays it fairly safe with the morals and the principles of the first three stories. You know, the toys, they want to be loved, they want to have owners, they want playtime, and they want to have a sense of belonging, you know, to an owner. And there's the whole toys that do have owners and toys that don't have owners, you know, carry on. And you know, we've seen that in the first three installments, and particularly with the last couple of Toy Stories, particularly Toy Story 3. I did really enjoy Toy Story 3. I thought it was a nice fresh take. I liked the change of scenery where they were in the nursery and the play school. And this is very similar, I would say, to Toy Story 3 in that regard, in that it takes you to new scenery. It picks up very much where we left off in the third one. It's almost as if no time has really passed. It's not 7 years later, if that's where we actually are since the last one. It is as if it's maybe a year later. It's that kind of time frame. So we pick straight up from where we left off, which is good. And the story, in all fairness, isn't hugely original. It feels like we've seen this story told before, but nevertheless, it still kind of worked. So it's not going to be anything mind-blowingly, oh wow, they've gone off in a completely different direction, well done. I think they've played it safe, they've stuck with what worked, and fair enough, you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You've got a lot of the characters that everybody knows. We get introduced, as you would expect, to a couple of new ones, some of which, by the way, are actually quite terrifying. I mean, this is a Universal, obviously, and there's some scary characters in there. I mean, I would not be surprised if some young kids got a little bit freaked out by them. I thought they were freaky, but it's good. It's done it's subtle enough, and it's done in a really good way. So there's the ups and the downs that you would expect from a kid's journey, from a kid's story, and I think kids will find it perfectly good. So obviously, without me going into the storyline, you know, my biggest critique would be the fact that it did very much feel like, oh, it's this old story again. This happens, then this happens, and then eventually this happens. And we've seen it, done it, got the t-shirt, been there before. Yawn. Tad yawn at it. But, you know, that isn't to say I didn't enjoy the movie. It wasn't hugely unique, but it was still decent. So, obviously it's not aimed at me. I was the only person there without a kid, and there were quite a few kids in the audience. I saw Secret Life of Pets recently that had some really young kids, and they were giggling and laughing all the time. Honestly, there wasn't a great deal of laughter going on in the audience from this one, I'm afraid. Myself personally, I laughed about halfway through. I had a reasonable little chuckle, and then there was a scene towards the end where I literally laughed out loud that was brilliant. So, you know, there's only a couple of laughs in there for the adults, and, you know, the kids weren't giving me much more in terms of laughter either. So I don't think it's hugely funny, but it is still enjoyable to watch. You know, you've got these familiar characters, and yeah, it was entertaining. It's weird. The story wasn't unique. It didn't really make me laugh. Yet I still kind of enjoyed it. So there you go. You know, what can I say? But, you know, the concern was maybe that the people in the audience, the kids in the audience, they weren't really laughing out loud. And then the other thing I would say a little bit concerning is the end sequences. I was literally the only one that hung around for the end sequences. So, by the way, don't go anywhere. When the first credits start to roll, people were legging it out the movie theatre, and, you know, I hung around, see if anything happened, and sure enough, a clip came up. And these clips were actually brilliant. These were in many respects, these were my favourite clips of the entire movie. So whatever you do, don't leave. And by the end of all the additional clips, I was literally the only one left in the cinema. And I'm a single adult without children. All the kids had gone. So, judge from that what you want as well. And also the clips came up reasonably quickly, so it was quite obvious, and people could have hung around, but they didn't. They'd show, oh, what's this clip as I'm walking down the stairs? And then they're gone. What's that about? It was only an hour and a half movie, or an hour and 40 minutes. It's not like you've been sat there for 4.5 hours, I can't wait to get out. But they did. Most of them were leaving as clips were playing and still continued to leave. So that's maybe not a good sign either. So regarding hanging around at the end, you will know when the clips are finished. I think there was about 4, could have been 5. So at the very end of the movie, there's all these additional clips that are absolutely brilliant, so do not go anywhere. These clips are totally 100% worth hanging around for. In many respects, the part of the movie I enjoyed the most. It isn't a huge positive thing to say, but hang around for the clips at the end. That's what I'm getting at. That's the most important thing. You'll know when it ends because the cast names start to appear. So once you see the cast listed alongside the names of the voice actors that played them, that's when you know it's okay to go. I'll confess I didn't stay till the very, very, very end. Don't know if there's another sequence to be had. Probably not. So there you go. So the plot was similar to what we've seen before, but still reasonably satisfying. We go into new surroundings, which I think is particularly satisfying. It had a hint of Bolt. It reminded me a little bit of the animation movie Bolt, which I really liked, because we go exploring a little bit into new surroundings. So it was okay in that regard. So out of 10, what would I give this? And I'm classifying this as an animation based at kids. It's a solid 7 out of 10. I could probably squeeze it up to a 7.3. I think it's probably about a 7.3. It's slightly above average, but not, oh my god, that was amazing. Like, I wouldn't care if I didn't see that movie again. Obviously if I had kids, I'd watch it with kids again, and I don't think I'd have any objection at all to sitting through watching it again with kids. It was a decent enough movie. Like I say, it's not aimed at me, so I can only compare it to the other Toy Story movies. I like the other Toy Story movies. Wasn't a huge crazy fan about them. It had a lot of similarities, which I think if you like the original Toy Story movies, there's no reason why you won't like this. But I think what it isn't is a groundbreaking, oh my god, this is the best, amazing, crazy, wow, gone off in new directions, what an amazing movie. It was just good. It's worth seeing. So let's cut to the mustard. I always like to discuss whether or not this is worth going to the cinema. Simple, of course. If you've got kids, 100% go to the cinema to see it. If, like me, you've got your Cineworld Unlimited pass, yeah, go and check it out while it's at the cinema. It's going to be on long enough. Catch a screening at some point. It's worth a watch on the big screen. But if I was you and you've got kids, I would try... You want to take them, obviously, before it comes out on the Movie for Junior weekend $1.99 thing, because that might not happen for about another 6 or 8 weeks. So you're going to want to take your kids. I would recommend trying to take them when it's buy one get one free, when you can get in as cheaply as possible, because it's not one of those movies where if your kid's like, oh, can we go this weekend, if I was you, I'd maybe just say, oh, we'll go on Tuesday night or Wednesday night when you've got your Meerkat movies buy one get one free. Keep it cheap, because it's not... If you went in there and spent 45 quid taking the family, you're not going to come out thinking that was 45 quid well spent. I don't think you are. So that would be my tip. I hope you found this useful. Don't know if there's anything else I needed to cover. I think that pretty much sums it up. Make sure you stay around at the end. Make sure you're not late for the start sequence. There's a little start sequence which sets up the movie. So make sure you see that. And yeah, I'll leave it at that for this one. It's simple. It's Toy Story. You know your kids are going to want to see it. Get them to it cheap. You don't have to have necessarily seen the first 3. It works on its own. Perfectly good movie. But not exceptional. So thanks for listening to this movie review, and we will see you on the next one. Thank you. Goodbye.